I'm Chris Morris, and theme for this month has woven around this idea of relationships. And this aspect of relationships, it has the human qualities and then the spiritual or the unseen qualities. When I'm teaching in my yoga classes, I'll talk about the small s self, which is our individual self, our human self, the one that we see in the mirror. And then we have our big S self, which is our soul or our higher self or our wider self, your unseen self, however it helps you to define that. And we're in this process of really integrating more of our unseen self, more of our spirit self, our light, our soul into our human self. And as we do that, we bump up into these different pieces of stuck places, these places of inhibited flow. For whatever reason, they're there. But just to allow this flow of grace, this flow of light, this flow of energy to move through us and almost clean it out, wash it out, release these places of stuckness that are no longer serving us. And in doing that, sometimes it actually is necessary to lean on human friends, right? We don't exist in a vacuum. We are in a very human world. And sometimes that means, and sometimes we're that person for somebody else. And it may mean just being a witness and just holding space for somebody to be seen and heard. Being seen and heard is incredibly underrated. That actually allows people to let those pieces either leave or emerge or whatever their part of the process is. And it allows people to get out of their stuckness, whatever it is. It's mental, emotional, or physical. Being seen and heard allows people to move. And so sometimes we're just holding space and being a witness to the other. And then sometimes we actually need the mirror of the other to give us a little bit of information, just to help us, again, bump us out of that stuck kind of cul-de-sac of thought or cul-de-sac of emotion or cul-de-sac of physical pain, whatever it is. We cannot disconnect from other people, but actually leaning into these other aspects, both of our unseen and higher self and of our friends, our individual friends. So it's actually Earth Day when I'm recording this. And I love Earth Day. It's a great time for planetary, for us to actually give our energy and acknowledge what we need to do to help this planet become come into more balance. And Earth Day is every day, right? You guys live that way. I'm sure you do. And this collective, unified vision of intention and visualization and action for Mother Earth is incredibly powerful. And that we are in deep relationship with the earth as well. We're interconnected. We cannot disconnect from the earth. The earth can survive without us. We can't survive without the earth. And as we are in this relationship, sometimes that means we lean into the earth for whatever support and nourishment and balance that we need to find. Sometimes the earth could benefit from leaning to us and us providing balance and nourishment and energy for her. We have an effect on the earth, and using our intention and our powers of visualization and our powers of connection to actually assist the earth in this evolution that is both an evolution of the planet but also an evolution of the human form. The more this interrelationship is connected and in harmony, the better off we will all be. Now, part of this connection is balancing our male and female sides, but we don't even have to think about balancing how much masculine energy we bring to this or how much feminine energy we bring to this. If we get right into the center of things, if we allow this flow of grace to move through us, then we naturally find our balance of where we need a little bit more sun energy or more yang energy, or when do we need more introspection and more yin, and when do we need a little bit more intense boundaries, and then when do we need to be a little bit more soft and nourishing. So these two sides actually work incredibly dynamically together. They work really well. And as we know, the planet has had the effects of this hyper masculinity on it, this dominating energy. And as we move forward, we see, we feel, and we know that this feminine energy, you can't stop it, it's on the move. And so as we allow this flow, and it's a flow of grace, both through the planet both through ourselves and then with this interconnected relationship aspect. May your next month have a beautiful experience of relationships. On to good news. Okay, I love seeing these guys in the news. Boyan, Slat, and the ocean cleanup. They were in the news again, and they are still moving forward. So in a few weeks, their first piece of technology would be towed into the ocean for a test tow. So this piping that they're going to test with is about the length of a football field. And after this test, if all goes well, they're going to come back and they're going to connect with the entire length of piping, which is 2,000 feet. If all testing goes well, they plan on deploying this entire 2,000-foot piping to the North Pacific Gyre of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch in August. Then, if all goes well, they plan to bring back their first shipment of plastic by late fall, and then they plan to have this plastic made into other products. According to the Ocean Cleanup's calculation, they should be able to clean up half of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, which is 40,000 metric tons of plastic garbage out in the ocean. They should be able to clean that up in 5 years, about 5 years. And that is the calculations with the new estimate, which they had underestimated how much plastic was out there. So the more we can get plastic out of our cycle of life, the better off the earth and the better off that we'll be. In other news, Time magazine honored Tarana Burke, the originator of the Me Too movement, and as featuring her as one of the 100 most influential people in this issue. Also in this issue of the 100 most influential people was New Zealand's new Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern. Ardern is the world's youngest female prime minister and has already banned any new permits for offshore drilling and gas exploration. On top of that, she attended a Commonwealth meeting in the UK wearing a traditional Maori cloak. And the Maori people are the indigenous people of New Zealand, and this cloak represents the mana and of the person wearing it, the prestige and power of the person wearing it. And on top of that, she was pregnant in this photo where she's with her partner wearing this Maori cloak at the Commonwealth meeting. She will be only the second prime minister that will give birth while in office. She's just such a beautiful symbol of this feminine, empowered energy rising. She's pregnant, she's wearing this indigenous cloak and honoring the indigenous people and working in harmony with the earth. She's just an incredible person to watch. I love her. Also, in the feminine rising world, the US Senate finally voted to change laws that will allow senators to bring children under 1 onto the chamber floor for votes. This was spearheaded by Senator Tammy Duckworth of Illinois, and she and her newborn daughter, the day after they changed these laws, they made history by being on the floor with her baby in tow, voting the day after they changed these laws. I've seen in other countries where it's actually very normal to have a baby in tow. I've seen people nursing while giving speeches. We're just a little bit slow to come to this experience, but I'm glad that we did. So this is another place where women are actually able to move forward in vocation, but stay connected to family. It's incredibly important. When women are able to do that, it changes the world. On April 19th, an interplanetary shockwave of amped up gaseous material in the solar wind hit the Earth's magnetic field. So on April 19th, this magnetic field hit the Earth. And when it did, when it arrived, the density of the solar wind around the planet abruptly quadrupled, and a crack opened up in the Earth's magnetic field, resulting in a G2 class geomagnetic storm which sparked unusual blue auras. So these cracks opening up in the Earth's magnetic field are not that unusual. This is where the auroras come through. But this interplanetary shockwave was unusual. They don't know where this energy came from. And as I looked at it on a graph, it was going like this, and then when the wave came, it disconnected and it jumped up. So it instantaneously quadrupled. So the part about this that I find interesting is that these cosmic energies that come into our planet, they actually have effect on our physiology, on our biology. And when they come in, their energy, right, their vibration, and they come into our field, and highly sensitive people, empaths and sensitive people, you may actually be feeling this. And as they come in through vibration, they're felt as sensations. So So they're felt as the wobble, they're felt as the dizziness, they're felt as just this sensation through our body that we may not be able to put into words, but we're feeling something in our physical body. And then they may trickle down into the magnetics of the heart, and you may feel emotions or something like that. But when vibration comes into our physical being, we feel it first as sensation. So if you're feeling that, just become aware of when you're feeling these sensations. Kind of look around. Is there something on the outside that's affecting them, or is this an inside catalyst? Could be either. Okay, on to science. Archaeologists and scientists are coming closer to determining if Vikings used crystals to navigate their ships in cloudy weather. Their success is attributed to a sun compass, to the use of a sun compass, because they didn't have magnetic compasses at that point. In clouds and thick fog, it is hypothesized they navigated by skylight polarization through the use of calcite, corderite, and tourmaline crystals. The results of this study showed this method of crystal navigation was surprisingly successful, especially at spring equinox and summer solstice. Onto the environment. The UK is planning to ban Q-tips and plastic straws, with a potential ban on single-use plastics as early as 2019. The UK is doing phenomenal in this ban and changing our habits of plastic use. Well done, UK. Also in science, scientists have improved upon a naturally occurring enzyme that was originally found in Japan. It was discovered in Japan. This enzyme has been modified and improved in the lab, and it can digest plastic. The modified enzyme is known as PETase, P-E-T-A-S-E, and it can digest the harder plastics, like the plastic bottles and that type of plastic. We absolutely need this, don't we? Scientists in Sweden also discovered a type of moss that is capable of purifying water contaminated with arsenic. Our planet, nature, is actually handing us solutions to these challenges that we've created. And scientists led by a team from Quebec have found a bacterium that eats hydrocarbons, including those that make up petroleum. Don't we need that? Thank you, nature. These powerful enzymes thoroughly biodegraded petroleum products in a lab, both on land and in water simulations. Also in the environment, a non-plastic bag was developed out of a yucca plant. Bali company Avani Eco created a plastic bag that is fully biodegradable. So in cold water, it takes months to biodegrade. In hot water, it dissolves almost immediately. This company, Avani Eco, even donated to Bye Bye Plastic Bags, which you may remember we reported on last year. And this was the story of the two sisters that lobbied the Balinese government to ban plastic bags by 2018. So now we have two strong young entities moving forward in Bali, helping us change our relationship with plastic. Well done. All right, on to people. Millennials, roughly those born between, so this is a group of people that were roughly born between 1980 and 2000. They are moving to neighborhoods that are based around working farms in record numbers. Right now, there are about 150 agri-hoods across America and more in development. Millennials actually want experiences more than things, and they want to know where their food is coming from. They like clean eating. They want to know that their food has been well handled and well made. And they also don't like to drive a lot. They like to stay in this community. So this is actually changing the way we live in cultures. This generation is really interesting. Keep an eye on the millennials. They're going to do some amazing, well, they are doing amazing things, right? In these groups of people, Generation Xers, which were approximately born between 1965 and 1980, so the generation before, which is my generation, they now hold more than 51% of the leadership roles worldwide. I am so excited for this. I've been waiting for this. Waiting for this news. So Steve and the group have talked about this for a long time, about wait till these younger generations get into these position of power and see what they do, which leads us to our Light Master of the Month. Okay, our Light Master of the Month is about these four friends that carried their other friend on a European backpacking trip. Kevin was born with spinal muscular atrophy. He had a dream of seeing Europe, but he was limited. He was limited to his wheelchair and what he could do on his own. In his own words, he said that he let a bunch of medically untrained musicians, his friends, put him in a backpack and carrying him around the world. They went to France, England, and Ireland and left lots of space for adventure in between. Before this trip, Kevin hadn't been out of his wheelchair for more than a few hours. In 2016, he went overseas and fulfilled his dream with a little help from his friends. This is such a sweet story. He couldn't have done it alone, and his friends benefited greatly from the experience as well, as a mutually beneficial relationship. And then all of us that see it get to have our hearts warmed and expanded by it as well. That is the type of thing we're talking about in reaching out and connecting with friends. Earth, spirit, humans, all of us are interconnected. The more we can honor those relationships and give space where needed, hold space as we need, reach out as we need, we're all going to be better off for it. We move together collectively. Thank you so much for holding your light. Thank you so much for shining your light. I see you guys putting good news out into the world. It makes me so happy. Like, put me out of a job. I'd love it. The more good news we put into the world, it just has this vibrational ripple effect. Speaking of light, here's your moment of light. Until next month.